Hello everyone, this is Precision 5. It's going to be on time. We did distance and direction. This is going to cap distance and direction. Time is very important. For time, I need everyone to think about the time that we use all the time. We have a clock, we either have a clock, a wristwatch or whatever, or we use our telephones, but time continually ticks, tick, 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 tick. We have seconds, we have minutes, we have hours. However, now we're in dance without music. And in dance without music, it has time. And like I said, many of times I said, we have to read. Okay, we always going to go on our reading and our writing. I'm writing out the things that happens in Dance Without Music. And I told you time, and I told you math is also in it. So we have reading. You read what I'm writing to you as far as Dance Without Music, but math is also important. And I was stating that all these movements that we make have, how can I say? Oh, that you can read the movements that I make, and I wanted to get you used to it. And I also stated that intertwined is everything, and also mathematics. But I want you to get used to reading the dance and what's happening internally. Just because someone says something is internal doesn't mean that you can't see it, because all the things that we've talked about, especially in precision, are things that are done internally, but the way that we learn, you can actually see what's happening. Like, for instance, when I told you, I go like this, and then this, and then this, and this. Before Dance Without Music, you probably just thought it was probably cool that it was done in a dance. But now you can follow it by reading, and you can see the movement of the energy. But there's also mathematics that's entwined in, and I guess I can say entwined in everything. So that's why you can't really say reading is here, writing is here, and mathematics is here. We're in a realm, like I said, like music is a realm, visualizing painting is a realm, and now we're in a new realm that no one has covered before, because these are all things to do with powers. And all the terms I use were those people who came in, just came in. All these things have been covered. If you hear a term or a word, you can't really relate it to generally, because most likely generally because we went over these terms. And when I say powers, okay, we have a term for powers, what powers it meant. And I always say, and now I pretty much have to say all the time, if you're really interested into the Dance Without Music, you have to start from the beginning and work up. But you can view them all, most likely subconsciously you will understand them. But now we're here in Precision 5, and we're dealing with time. Time will put together the distance and the direction that we talked about in in Precision 4. Everything goes hand in hand, and it continually progresses. So if you look at the former tapes, you will notice that everything is hooked together. Okay, I know that the control, which we have studied like not completely, but I went over about the control. That one seems to appear to becoming visual again, but I don't want to I probably won't get into it this lesson again, because time is very important. Excuse me. So time, there's seconds, there's minutes, there's there's I guess we could minutes, hours, okay? But there's also another time, your time, okay? Pretty much what I'm talking about is a time that we have to ourselves, a time that we keep that we don't even realize. And when you realize it now, it's going to be great because you're going to see that time is fun. It's not just time that's clicking off. We use minutes and seconds to relate to one another. What time is it? We wake up in the morning, we set our clocks and everything. It's universal so that everybody can have a means of communication as far as time is concerned and will be more organized. Everybody needs that one general type of time. But there's another time to where we don't have to really think about, we can have fun with it. We don't have to think about this has to be done here, this has to be done here, this has to be done here. So we're going to deal with time now and telling time. And our dance, which is a dance that we use, a thriller dance, and the reason why and everything about the thriller dance that I talk about in this program is in the earlier videos. So we're going to be talking about telling time, our time, okay? And it's pretty interesting, but you can't relate it to minutes and seconds or hours or whatever, or nanoseconds or whatever. You have to leave that one alone and now worry about the time that I am referring to. Everything I do, I'm doing it in my time, not someone else's time, but my time. I speak in my time, I move in my time. If I lift my hand, I do it in my time. So it's special to each one of us. So now I'm going to try and do this dance, okay? I'm going to explain to you, I'm going to get up and explain to you about the dance and how it relates to time. But when I say time, I want you to open up to a new type of time, your time. It's beautiful, it's your time. I mean, it's not something that you have to think about, but it's natural. And the reason why I say it's natural because it's not hooked with numbers, but it is very mathematical. It's beautifully mathematical. And it does, if you get to this point, it does help you, even working to this point, it does help you with everything else and even mathematics. Because when you do mathematics, you'll be able to put together movements and things like that. Okay? So here we go. We're going to start on time. We're going to start on time. Okay, now, when we start this part of the dance, each one of those movements, like I said, is a distance. This is a distance. This is a distance. This is a distance. This is a distance. Okay? Each one of those movements is like you know the hand on the clock. Well, now you can relate it. It's like, when I say like, it's not exactly like, but it's yours. It's your ticking of your clock. You're using your quadrant to click off time. Remember your quadrant. Quadrants, the plural for all the quadrants is quadrant, okay? Because there's a quadrant called the quadrant. And if I go like this, I jump to the quadrant down to what I just did. I jumped down to the twin quadrant. But as I said before, you could jump up to the quadrant and come down on the natural quadrant. I'm not going to try with this one yet because I'm still doing work on it. Okay? So now, That's one point. It's a time, 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 time. We're not going to say steps. Okay. We're not going to just say. We're definitely not going to say steps. Distance, yes. But in order to get a distance, we need, what do we need? We need direction, okay? So I have, and this is where you read internally. It's happening within me, yes. But now you should be able to read or start reading what I'm doing internally. Because you know that I'm dealing with powers in order to move, in order to make distance, in order to make direction, okay? Okay, and I made a distance right there. And I use direction to make the distance. So if I go like this, from here to here, that's a time with the direction, okay? It's not the time that it took. Don't think about that. This direction is time. Direction and time. And I'm not saying that it took me this amount of time to get from here to here. I'm saying that this direction is time. Okay? If I go like this, that direction is time. Okay? So, now I want you to start trying to read what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and go through, I think I'm going to try and go through the whole thing. And I want you to think of each, remember, distance that I make. The first, some of the dance is in, I'm not going to do the dance so perfectly. And like I said, we'll be perfection, we'll obtain perfection 100% on this dance. But we use the dance to show you dance without music. Okay? So, I may stop and show you some things or everything, but I'm going to try and get through this whole dance. The only one, okay, that's the only one that I probably had some problems with. Okay? But you're going to see how unique this time is. And you're going to see how time, before you just had second, before, or not, we still do now, but before many, or how can I say, not many, before you tried and you didn't come up with anything to relate time that we use amongst ourselves with time in the dance. We even tried to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's still trying to interpret time into a general that everybody uses, okay? But this now is a different time. This is your time, okay? And everything that you do has time involved. It's not something that I want to say that is, how can I say? That is, it's not something, because see, when I try and communicate this, it has to be general. I mean, it has to be very simple language to, and not complicated. So I have to pretty much describe things instead of coming up with words that may have different meanings than you have. So it's not a how can I say? It's not, I have to say, cumbersome to where you have to think about it or anything. It's just a natural time. Like I'm speaking to you right now, there's time, everything I'm doing, but it's not something that I have to think about. It's something that I'm doing naturally. It's a beautiful time, okay? And if I come up with something more, less drastic, I'll think of it, okay? But just think of that, is that everything is in time, your time, okay? So here we go. I'm going to try and go through this, and I'm going to show you I want you to try and see how everything is time. And we're not talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But the most important thing is the direction and the distance. Direction gives you distance, okay? With direction, you go from quadrant to quadrant in order to obtain a distance. But if there's some things in the dance that are done like without moving, I mean without stationary in just one quadrant, okay? So that's there's still a time because you have direction, and all that is a time, dun, 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 with no sound. Okay, that's time, but you don't want to put it with any words or anything. You want to put it with an action. So let's try and get. I'm going to try and get through this. Okay, because another thing too, because of the space and because of the distance, I can't go out there, so I'm gonna have to try and keep it condensed. Okay, so let me start here. Okay. Now I just went over that that thing summarize or just the best way I could for now, just to show you that all those movements were time. Okay. So now we have. It's very important because when you do the dance without music, you don't have to worry about something that's not there. A time. You do not have the concept of time as minutes and seconds or the time that it takes to wake up or whatever. Now you have your own time. And that's going to be strengthened, and that's part of mathematics. But everything, like I said, is entwined. So that's what time is. It's very important. I made it. This is precision 5, I'm almost sure. And it's probably, I mean, it was a quick lesson, but it was very, very important concept. And it caps distance and direction. And it makes you freer because you're saying, oh, wait, I have a time myself. I have a time that I can make movements and stuff like that. I don't have to say that it's external, but I have an internal time. And as we go on, and from here on in, we'll keep going and make progress on this, and you see how everything else will fit. So thank you very much. But it seems like it's just a short lesson, but that one was very conceptual, and you can see how concepts are very concrete. Thank you very much. Waiting for the next precision.